So we are just gonna get right to the main issue in this one. So be prepared because it is a little mind blowing. And I will just say this: some of the comments pushing back on the last video thought I was being a little too harsh on Miriam, as well as even Serge. Although Serge is not like Miriam, but hey, I know a lot of people don't really watch the videos; they only watch like 30 seconds. But no, that was me being very nice because there's a section here which was pretty awful. And again, I want to be very clear. I do not like everything that Rinder did in the past by a long shot. You can literally Google this channel and Mike Rinder. I'm pretty critical of it, but still, this section was, I think, fairly problematic. And I'm just wondering why Miriam lies so much because it seems like she was literally caught red-handed just lying. It's a big lie. It's not a small lie. So just be ready for it.
He said he was in a hole. I'm in a hole. I didn't know anything, okay?
How convenient, right?
Right. We realized that from that hole that he was in, and I'm not minimizing that experience. I'm just saying the truth, okay? You're saying...
Now, to be fair, I did criticize Miriam in the other video for the same thing, that she wasn't articulating herself very well. But there, you might say, well, it's like, yeah, I mean, she could have been more specific. But here it's like, no, this is a straight out lie. So you're saying that you're not minimizing the pain that happened with Rinder. And yet you're doing this mocking thing saying, oh, I'm in a hole. I'm in a hole. So you're mocking the pain he underwent, but you're like, no, I mean, he suffered, but, you know, I'm not dismissing it. It seems like you were dismissing it. I mean, was that literally what happened? Is that like a really real recreation of what happened? Like, oh, he actually acted like that? Oh, I'm in a hole. I'm in a hole. Yeah, probably not. Now, most of the video is not as bad as that, although it does veer off into some pretty wild territory with Serge just screaming and screaming and screaming as usual and just getting all worked up. And I could double check that video, but I don't think anywhere he tells people he was sitting close to Mike Rinder. Yeah. There's video, I believe, of him being in the studio, right? Because he was on the Aftermath show, from what I understand. Rinder's right there. If he honestly felt these things, he could have confronted Rinder right then and there. Nobody was stopping him. So, yeah, a lot of this Rinder hate is what it is. It's manufactured.
He stayed silent on that. He stayed silent on that until 2023.
No,
well, the Delphi case is the Delphi case is 2015 or around that time.
Well, again, I'm still a little confused. What exactly is the issue? I guess the issue is, according to her, by 2015, he had enough time and money and authority within the ex-Scientology community that if he was a serious advocate for children, he would have blown the whistle on this. But he didn't, ergo, he's a fake hero. Well, it might surprise Miriam to hear this, but I agree. I do agree he's a fake hero. But here's what she doesn't want to hear. She's also a fake hero. Serge is a fake hero. Aaron is a fake hero. I do not claim to be a hero here. Now, I would frankly, be blunt and honest and saying, I think I've done more heroic activism than all these people, but hey, who's keeping count? So if she wants to say that at the end of the day, he was not a very good activist, well, I agree, but I never thought he was a very good activist. So it just seems that she's trying to remove any hero status from Mike Rinder. Well, again, it might shock her to hear this, but right. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all. What I do have a problem with is you're acting like you're doing something. Like everything she's talking about, that's all been talked about. She literally has not exposed any new information. Not a single thing she said, and believe me, I've patiently gone through her videos. She's not brought up a single case we did not know of before. If you've done serious research on Scientology, I know some people doubt I have. No, I've done my research. And as she admits in this case herself, right, this 2000, which is a real scandal, he's not connected. right? She does not provide any evidence that he was still actively in OSA and linked to the scandal. So you're basically, the criticism is negative. He could have done more to help the children. He could have done more to expose Scientology. I agree, he could have done more. But it's simply a lie to say he didn't do anything. Let me prove she's a liar 2 times over. Now, Rinder had a very long conversation with Rachel. Rachel was basically the cameraman, or camera woman, to be more precise, of Dave Miscavige. And Miscavige is kind of stupid. He just wanted someone to follow him to do photography. And he doesn't seem to understand that like still images and moving images are different. So anyway, so Rachel was basically their go-to person to do publicity for them. And as part of that, she went through this kind of very weird ethics meetings, I guess you want to say. But the basic point is she found someone who she thinks very credibly, again, this is YouTube, I got to be careful, was hurting children and involved with a lot of scandals. And that was part of the reason she left. She was really disturbed and disgusted that they were covering up this crime. And she got out, by the way, with the help of Mike Rinder, which, again, Miriam seems to magically forget that Rinder has helped quite a few people get out of Scientology. But we'll put that aside. And what did Rinder do when she got out with all this information? He told her, go to the FBI. You tell the authorities. So you can definitely say Rinder is a very troublesome, problematic figure. But to say he has done no whistleblowing on this particular subject of children and their often horrific treatment in Scientology is just not true. He could do more. He could be more consistent. And I agree, he is being a fake hero here because it's like, yeah, of course you go to the FBI. Yeah, you're stating the obvious. So him trying to make money and become famous from doing, basically very minimal work, yeah, that's very disturbing, but Miriam, you're no different. Like, what have you done for children? Nothing. What has Serge done for children? Nothing. And yet, what are you proposing? Oh, we're advocating for children's. How? Hating Child USA. And by the way, that's fine. Let's question Child USA. That is totally fine. But is that really strong activism for children? No. You're just getting revenge. And you're doing it for money. As far as I know, her channel is monetized. She's accepting donations. So is Serge. So let's stop with all this holier-than-thou attitude. There just isn't a point here. If there's a standard, please spell it out. Because I patiently went through that video. Nowhere did they provide a standard where they are, quote, better people than Rinder. Right? They're more focused on certain scandals in Scientology, which is fine, but actually helping the victims? How? When? Where? I mean, the most I can come up with is there's one post where Miriam claims someone has been helped by her activism. Does Miriam not think that Rinder could do the same thing? I'm sure he could produce many emails, many video testimonies, right? I'm sure there are a lot of people grateful for what Mike Rinder did. I think he is what he is. He's a very murky, troublesome figure. But I don't want to minimize what happened to him in Scientology, because he was badly. And I mean, this is YouTube, so I cannot get too into detail, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And there is no one denying that testimony. There's overwhelming testimony that, yes, what he said was accurate. Like, he was being very, very harshly abused. He was, whether you like him or not. Now, do I particularly care about his physical abuse? No, I don't particularly care. On the other hand, I don't want to dismiss it. I don't want to make fun of it, right? Just like I don't make fun of what happened to Miriam, because I think, well, whether I like this person or not, and I don't like Miriam, I don't like Mike Rinder, but again, what happened to them is pretty terrible. On the other hand, I'm not understanding it. Why is Miriam allowed to mock Rinder's pain, but if you mock Miriam's pain, you're a monster? Please explain that double standard, because nowhere in that video did she ever find a real, legal, logical, or even moral justification. It just seems like Rinder's bad, not helping people, trying to be rich and famous. Miriam, you're doing the same thing. Like, she actively covered up some crimes. She doesn't seem to care. So did Serge. Now, she's probably the least guilty of those 3 people, but doesn't make you a good person. So it just seems a lot of bitter people who are mad that Rinder sold himself off as a hero. They're trying to do the same thing, but they're not being successful. Right. Why should I care? I don't know. They don't ever explain why. She says she didn't, but she did actively mock Rinder's pain. Does that make her a really bad person? I think it does, but again, that's for her to deal with. But her promoting herself as this caring, compassionate activist, she's many things, but she's not that. If she wants to be a vengeful activist, hey, I have no problem with that. But please stop falsely putting yourself out as this kind, gentle woman helping the children and the victims. Miriam is no such thing. She's a very vengeful, spiteful, toxic, narcissistic person. But she was harmed, so I hope she gets better and her activism gets better, but I'm not too optimistic about that, being honest. And whether Rinder is really this sick, we don't know, but he is getting quite old, so he will die very soon, whether you like it or not. So it's going to be difficult accounting for his good and bad, but we should probably do it with some honesty and not just, mocking, oh, he was in the hole. Yeah, I mean, I can do that too. Oh, he was in the hole. But he did a little bit more than that, let's be honest.